Welcome to another lecture of Fundamentals of Computational Biology. So, we are towards end of this course, and by now I expect you all must have learned a lot of new concepts about computational biology. So, today we are going to revise some of the concepts which we have seen earlier in this lecture, that is the model building part in computational biology. So, what we will do is, in this particular lecture we will see a lot of things which you have already learned. It's sort of a revision process. So, shortly we will see what is a model building, how you can proceed with model building, different types of model, how these models are used on a daily basis in the field of computational biology. We will also see some of the exciting examples or case studies in this particular lecture. Also, what we would do is, we would introduce some of the very new concepts like artificial intelligence, machine learning and their application in model building part. So, let us begin today's lecture. Let me start. So, computational biology is a discipline that harnesses the power of computers to solve the complex biological problems. It's like using a microscope, but instead of looking through the lenses, we analyze the data and simulate the biological process. Now, let us begin by understanding why models are crucial in the realm of biology. So, I will start with role of models in biology. So, imagine you are a biologist studying the growth of population of organisms. It is not always feasible or ethical to conduct experiment on a large scale, right? Here's where model comes to our rescue. Model in this context are mathematical or computational representation of biological system. They allow us to simulate and understand the complex biological phenomena without conducting real world experiments. So, for instance, if you are interested in predicting how particular species will grow over the time, you can create a mathematical model that considers the factors like birth rate, death rate and the environmental conditions, and you can predict it. So, by inputting the relevant data into your model, you can make predictions about the population future growth. This saves times, resources and often provide insight that would be very difficult to obtain experimentally in a given time frame. So, in essence, models are like virtual laboratories for biologists, helping us explore and understand the natural world in a controlled and systematic manner. In this lecture, we will journey through various types of model used in computational biology, exploring how they are built, validated and applied to real world biological problem. But before that, we will dive into the types of model. Let's explore why we need models in a first place and the advantages associated with them. So, why we build a model or different models? Now, we have grasped the importance of model in biology. Let's dwell deeper into why we need them. In the vast realm of biology, numerous questions and challenges arise that we have already seen in our previous lectures. So, for example, how do disease spread through a population? What are all the ecological consequences of changing the climate? How we can predict the behavior of molecules within the cell? These questions often involve complex interactions and large data sets, making it challenging to find the clear answer through traditional laboratory experiment alone. This is where the computational biology comes. It equipped us with the tools that create models that can help to navigate this particular type of complexity. Imagine you are trying to understand how a newly formed drug might interact with proteins in the human body. It is not feasible to conduct experiment on a massive scale. Instead, we can build a computational model to simulate these interactions and predict their outcomes. Let me very briefly explain the advantages and applications of these biological models. So, first I would take a parameter called as efficiency. So, model save time and resources. We know that they allow us to explore the multiple scenario and hypothesis very quickly. Now, the second is risk free explorations. With models, we can experiment without fear of harming living organisms or the environment. This is especially important in the areas like drug development and environmental conservations. Now, another one is the insight generations. Models often reveal unexpected insights and patterns that might be challenging to uncover through traditional research methods. Now, let's see another one, that's hypothesis testing. So, models enable us to test the hypothesis rigorously. For example, we can use models to explore the consequences of different genetic mutations or effect of environmental changes. So, another one is the predicting and decision making. Model assist us in making informed decisions. For instance, the epidemiological models help us the public health official to plan for disease outbreak. In summary, models are inseparable tools in computational biology, providing us the meaning to tackle the complex biological questions efficiently and effectively. So, in the upcoming slides, we will explore the various types of biological models from mathematical and statistical to computational and machine learning tools, each with a unique strength and applications in the field of computational biology. In the world of computational biology, there are various types of model at our disposal. Each type of models offer a unique way to explore the biological phenomena. Let's take a closer look. Let's look at the mathematical models. Mathematical models are like the workhorses of computational biology. They use equations and mathematical principles to represent the biological processes. For example, imagine you are studying the growth of particular bacterial population of many bacterial population. You can create a mathematical model that considers factors like reproduction rate, the environmental conditions like pH, temperatures, the availability of resources, availability of protein sources, etc., and you can predict the growth rate. Another one is statistical model. Statistical models help us to understand how data is related and how different variables influence one another. For example, let's say you are investigating the relationship between a person's age and their risk of developing a particular disease. A statistical model can help you identify the relationship and make a prediction that is based upon the data. Another one is computational models. Computational models involve using computers and programs to simulate the complex biological systems or processes. For example, in ecology, you can build a computational model to simulate the behavior of prey-predator interaction in the ecosystem. By inputting the data on a population size, interactions, you can observe the changes in one species population that affects others. We have already learned the Lotka-Volterra model in our earlier lecture. You can refer those. Now, the machine learning models. Machine learning models are like a powerful tools in computational biology. They can learn the pattern from the data and make predictions and classification. For example, suppose you are analyzing a gene expression data to identify the gene associated with a specific disease. Now, machine learning models can automatically identify the patterns in the data and pinpoint the genes most relevant to that particular genes. So, for example, there are n number of expressions that is happening from this particular disease, and again you are seeing these particular genes are activated during those conditions. So, machine learning models can make easy prediction. Each of these model type has its strength and is suited for different type of biological questions. In the next part of our lecture, we will explore the each type in a more detailed way. Now, we will look at how they work, their application in real life examples, and we would use these models in the field of computational biology. So, let us explore with mathematical modeling in biology. Mathematical models are very powerful tools in computational biology. These allows us to represent and understand a complex biological process through equations, mathematical principles, and different type of interactions. Now, the first one is differential equation in the modeling. In the mathematical part, you have already learned this, but let me quickly go through it. One of the key elements of mathematical modeling in the biology is use of differential equations. These equations describe how a quantity changes over the time concerning other variables. Now, let me walk you through a very small introduction about the examples of ordinary differential equations in the field of biology. Differential equations comes in two main categories. Now, ordinary differential equation, also abbreviated as ODEs, and partial differential equations, also abbreviated as PDEs. Now, they have their various applications in the field of biological models. First, let us see what are ODEs. These are used when the quantity of interest varies with a single dependent variable. For instance, a population in population biology, we often use ODEs to model how the size of population changes over the time. Let us see a specific example. Let us consider the logistic growth model. It is like modeling a population of rabbits. Initially, the population grows rapidly, but as resources become limited like foods and space, the growth rate now slows down. So, it is following a logistic curve. This model helps us to understand the population dynamics and the resource constraints. Now, let us see about PDEs. These are employed when the quantity of interests varies with a variable with a multiple independent variable. For example, in neuroscience, PDEs are used to model the spread of signals, electrical signals through brain tissues. Now, we will see one particular case study, logistic growth models in population biology. So, let us take a closer look about this particular mathematical model. Now, imagine a population of animals like rabbits in a closed environment. At the start, there are a very few rabbits and they have plenty of resources to reproduce. So, we would want to know how does the population grows over the time. So, it takes into the account of initial population size, the intrinsic growth rate, and the carrying capacity of that particular environment. Now, let us see the application. This model help us to predict how the rabbit population will change as the resources become limited. It is not just about rabbits. Similar models apply to various species and even non-biological contexts like spread of information in a social media network. Now, let me describe the takeaway message here. So, mathematical models are like the logistic growth models. This provides valuable insights into a population dynamics, resource allocation, and the sustainable growth of biological systems. They are a fundamental tools in understanding and managing biological process. In the next section, we will explore another type of model, that is statistical model, and how they contribute to computational biology. Now, statistical models are vital parts of computational biology. These helps us understand the relationship between various parameters and helps us to predict something based upon the given data. So, let us explore about the statistical model. First one is probability distributions in biology. Before we delve into the statistical model, it is essential to understand the probability distribution. In biology, we often encounter data that follows a specific probability distribution. For example, think of a distribution of height in a population. It is often close to a normal distribution. So, with the most people of being the average height and fewer at the extreme, you can actually draw how the normal distribution look like. Regression analysis in the biological studies. So, regression analysis is a common statistical model technique that is used in biology. It helps us to examine the relationship between two or more variables and make the prediction. For example, imagine you are studying the effect of nutrient on a plant growth. You collect the data on nutrient level and the plant height. Regression analysis can determine if there is a significant correlation exists and then predict how changes in nutrient level might affect the plant height. We would see a particular case study, that is about the linear regression for gene expression analysis. So, let us explore the practical application of statistical model in computational biology, linear regression for gene expression analysis. So, gene expression refers to the process by which the information in our gene is used to build functional molecules like proteins and other components. Understanding genetic expression is crucial in genetic disease research. So, linear regression is used to analyze the genetic expression data. It helps us to find the relationship between gene expression level and various factors such as presence of a disease or influence of environmental factors. For instance, in cancer research, linear regressions can identify the genes whose expression level are correlated with the severity of the disease. This information can guide the development of target therapies. So, let us see what is the takeaway message here. Statistical models like regression models empower us to extract the valuable insights from the biological data. They help us understand the complex interplay of factors in biological systems, making them the indispensable tool in the field of computational biology. In our next session, we will shift our focus to computational model and explore how they simulate the biological process using the power of computers. So, computational models in biology brings the magic of computer simulation to understand the complex biological system. Let us explore the fascinating world of computational models. So, let us start with the cellular automating data in the biological simulations. So, one intriguing type of computational model in cellular automata is these models divide the space into grids of cells, each with a state that evolves over the time according to simple rules. For example, now imagine simulating how a forest fire spreads. Imagine simulating how a forest fire spread. Each cell in the grid represents a portion of a forest. the rules dictate whatever the cell burns, it is unaffected, or the spread of the fire in the neighborhood cells. Now, cellular automata can mimic the dynamic behavior of a real biological system. Another one is agent based modeling in the E. coli. Agent based modeling is another exciting approach. In this model, the individual agents such as animals or peoples interact with their environment and each other. So, in ecology, you can use the agent based modeling system to simulate how predators and prey interact in an ecosystem. Each agent, like a wolf or a rabbit, now they follow a certain rule for hunting, reproduction and avoiding dangers. When you run these simulations, you can observe how these interactions play out over the time. Let us see a particular case study. So, this case study is about the cellular automata in case of tumor growth. So, let us explore this particular case. So, now in computational biology, cellular automata can be applied for various diseases just like a tumor growth or a cancer growth. Understanding how tumor can spread over the time is very vital in case of cancer research. Traditionally, experimentations can't capture the fully complexity of a tumor behavior, which is where the computational models comes into the picture. In tumor growth simulation, using the cellular automata, each cell represent a part of a tissue. Now, cells can divide more or die based upon the predefined rules. This mimic the uncontrolled growth seen in case of cancer. Now, what is their application? Researchers use these models to study tumor behavior, and they can test their treatment strategies and predict how different factors like genetic mutations or the drug treatment influence the tumor growth. Now, we have also seen the examples in our previous lectures, just like the game theories. There are a lot of computational models, they are used in case of which are used in case of game theories, and they can explain the very complex problems like evolution or how particular decision making is taking place in a particular scenario. So, what is the takeaway here is the computational models offers us a virtual laboratory, allowing us to experiment without complex biological systems and study their behavior in various conditions. They help us to gain the insight into processes that are challenging to observe in a real life scenario. In our final section, we will explore the cutting edge world of machine learning models in the field of computational biology. So, let us explore the machine learning models. Machine learning is a powerful tool in computational biology. It revolutionized the way we can analyze the biological data and make predictions. Let us explore how machine learning applies in the world of biology. So, machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence that enables computers to learn from the data and make a valuable decisions or prediction. In biology, it play a pivotal role in handling the large data set and extracting the meaningful insights. So, let us first explore the supervised learning for classification. Now, supervised learning is a key machine learning approach in which the models are trained using the labeled data. This means the data is paired with known outcomes, allowing us to the models to learn the patterns and make the prediction. For example, imagine you have a data set of tissue samples, each labeled as either cancerous or non-cancerous. By feeding these data into a supervised learning algorithm, the machines can build a model that can learn how to classify the new unlabeled samples as cancerous or non-cancerous, and they will be very helpful in case of diagnosis. Now, the second one is unsupervised learning for clustering. So, unsupervised learning, on the other hand, it does not rely on the labeled data. It's all about finding the hidden patterns or the grouping within the dataset without predefined categories. For example, in genomics, the unsupervised learning can group the patients with similar gene expression profiles into clusters. This can reveal how a new disease subtype, or it can help to identify the group of genes that work together in a specific biological processes. Let us see this with the help of a particular case studies. Now, the case study is predicting the protein structure with deep learning. So, let us dive into the captivating case study that illustrate the potential of machine learning in the field of computational biology. So, understanding the 3D structure of a protein is crucial for drug discovery and the disease research. So, the experimental methods are built and they are very time consuming, and they need a lot of expertise and practice to solve the 3D complex structure of any protein. So, deep learning models, particularly the neural networks, can be trained to predict the protein structures based upon the amino acid sequences. These models can capture the intricate relationship between the sequence and structures. Now, let us explore the application part. Researchers use this application to predict the protein structure efficiently. So, it is akin to solving a 3D puzzle using the information coded in a protein sequences. This saves a lot of time and resources. So, what is the takeaway message here? Machine learning models have transformed the biology by allowing us to analyze the vast data sets, making the prediction, and it uncovers the hidden biological insights. They are indispensable tools for tasks ranging from disease diagnostic to a drug design or a drug discovery. In our final section, we will explore the importance of data collection, model development, and validation in the field of computational biology. We would start with model development processes. So, building effective biological models involve a structured process. Let us walk through these key steps in developing these models. Step number 1 would be the data pre-processing. So, before diving into the model building part, we must prepare and clean our data. The real world biological data can be messy, and sometimes it would be without any values. It would carry a lot of outliers and noises. For example, think of a gene expression dataset with missing values. Data pre-processing technique can help to fill the gaps by removing the uninformative data points, ensuring the model's accuracy. Now, the step number 2 is model selection. Now, choosing the right type of model is very crucial. The choice of model depends upon the nature of a biological problem and the availability of data. For example, if you are studying a spread of disease, you might opt for agent based models to simulate the individual interactions. So, for gene expression analysis, a machine learning models like random forest or deep learning could be more appropriate as compared to the SVM or the support vector machines. Step number 3 would be the model training. Once the model is selected, your data is pre-processed, it's time to train. So this involves feeding it with a labeled data. Now it allows us to learn the pattern and relationship using your choice of models. For example, in supervised learning, if you are training a model to classify the plant species, you provide it with a data set of plants with known species that is labeled. So model learn how to differentiate between species based upon the features like leaf shape, size and its pattern. Step number 4 would be the model evaluation. After training, it is essential to evaluate the model's performance. This helps us to ensure its accuracy and reliability of in the case of real world applications. For example, for a cancer prediction model, you assess it with the ability to correctly classify the patients as either having a cancer or not. Evaluation metrics like accuracy, precision, recall and F1 score can provide a comprehensive view of model performance. These steps are interactive and many times required fine tuning and optimization. A well structured model development process is essential in computational biology, as it helps researchers to derive the meaningful insights and make informed predictions in various biological contexts. In our next session, we will explore the critical aspect of model validation and verification to ensure the reliability of our biological models. So the validation and verification are crucial step in ensuring the reliability of biological models. Let's explore how we can validate these models. So model validation involves assessing whether our model has performed well on the unseen data or not. Several techniques are employed for this particular purpose. For example, imagine you have developed a model to predict the effect of genetic mutations. To validate it, you would use a separate data set that the model has not seen before. If the model accurately predicts the outcomes of this new data sets, it is a sign that our model is performing very well. So now validate how you can use this model verification and testing the data. So model verification goes hands in hand with the validation. Verification ensures that the model is implemented correctly and behaves as intended. For example, if you are creating a model that simulates a model about how a new drug can affect the cellular growth, verification involves checking that the simulation accurately reflects the biological process. It means that it is exactly mimicking the conditions. Another aspect is the cross validation in genomic data analysis. Let us see this particular example. So to illustrate the importance of model validation, let us dive into a case study that involves the cross validation in genomic data analysis. Genomic data analysis often deals with a large data sets, and models must accurately predict the various genomic features. So what are different techniques? So cross validation is a powerful technique. It involves the splitting of a data into multiple subset. Now training the model on some of these groups and testing on others, this provide a valuable insight about if the model is behaving correctly or not. Let us see few of these applications. In genomic data analysis, cross validation helps us to access the model's ability to generalize across different data sets. So, what is the takeaway message here? Validation and verification are crucial to build the reliable biological models. They ensure that our models are not only accurate but also trustworthy in real world applications. In our next session, we will summarize the key points covered in this representation and emphasize the importance of model building in advanced field of computational biology. So, in our concluding part, let us see some of the challenges and the future direction. So, building models for computational biology is a dynamic field. With advancements of technology, this is changing continuously, and we have seen so far how the model building is very essential in the case of computational biology. So, what are different challenges? Different challenges I will explore one by one. One is data quality and quantity. So, obtaining a very high quality biological data is often very challenging. So, it is not possible always to get a very nice and refined data with a very large amount that is needed to build this particular model. So, it is often very challenging. Next challenge is complexity of biological systems. Biological systems are incredibly intricate. Modeling them accurately requires capturing the complex interactions, often involving multiple scale and dimensionality. Parameter estimation. Many biological phenomena involves a lot of parameters. Now, experimental evaluation of these parameters is very difficult task. Model validation. So, lot of time a nice paper, a nice thing would be to validate with in a real life scenario, and it is very difficult sometimes to validate the model in case of real life scenario. So, these challenges often provides a lot of hidden rocks, but with the help of our understanding and using computational tools, we can solve this problem, and we can use these model building part to accurately predict a lot of behavior, a lot of natural things that are happening around us. So, with this, let us conclude today's lecture, and I expect all of you have learned a lot of new concepts and you can use this in your research. Thank you very much.